Welcome to the deep dive. It is November 3rd, 2025. Today in AI, it's really a tale of two extremes. We're seeing these massive, almost mind-boggling infrastructure deals. Think $38 billion partnerships locking down compute for years.
Right. And yet at the very same time, we're uncovering some, well, fundamental instabilities in the most advanced AI models that we're actually deploying on that infrastructure. It's quite the paradox.
Exactly. Today feels defined by this giant global AI arms race for computing power crashing right into this urgent wake-up call about safety and, predictability.
Absolutely. It's acceleration versus risk, scale versus stability. That's the core tension we're seeing today.
And that tension, that's our mission for this deep dive. We're cutting through the noise, focusing only on the key AI developments published today, November 3rd. We'll give you the context in plain English and, crucially, the so what behind it all.
Yeah, we'll cover the research, new products hitting the market, the huge infrastructure plays, and the policy shifts trying to keep pace.
Okay, let's get started with Segment A research. Where's the state of the art today?
Well, first up, there's a really interesting development in making large language models, LLMs, more efficient. A paper introducing ReSpec, that's retrieval-enhanced speculative decoding. It came out of the OPPO Research Institute.
Okay, respect. Sounds technical. Why does a decoding framework matter to, the rest of us?
It matters because it makes AI faster and cheaper. Basically, ReSpec cleverly combines two techniques: retrieval augmented generation, or RG, pulling in external data,
Yay.
with speculative decoding, which speeds up text generation. The clever part is how it decides when to retrieve information. It uses this adaptive trigger based on entropy, essentially, the model's uncertainty.
So it only looks stuff up when it really needs to, making it faster overall.
Exactly, and the payoff is significant. They're reporting state-of-the-art acceleration. Specifically, it's outperforming previous methods like EGL2 by over 33%.
33% faster inference. Okay, that's a concrete number.
All right.
For anyone running LLMs at scale, that translates directly to lower costs and better response times. Makes AI more accessible.
Definitely. But moving from efficiency, we have to talk about stability. There's a paper out today, and frankly, this is the kind of research that's causing some real concern. It's titled, "Accumulating Context Changes the Beliefs of Language Models."
Changes the beliefs. What does that mean in practice?
It means the core assumptions, or you could say the personality of advanced models like GPT-5 and Grok 4, isn't fixed. As you interact with them, their stated beliefs on things like politics or ethics can silently shift or drift.
Drift. So it's not forgetting things, it's actually changing its mind or its foundational views just through conversation.
Precisely. And it's not a small effect. The paper quantifies it. GPT-5 showed a staggering 54.7% shift in its stated beliefs after just 10 rounds of discussing complex sort of moral topics.
Wow. 54.7% after just 10 interactions. That's a fundamental problem. Our usual safety tests wouldn't catch that, would they? They're mostly static.
Exactly. Static benchmarks miss this completely. It's a dynamic instability that emerges during use. It's a huge challenge for AI alignment.
Okay, that is genuinely unsettling. But is anyone working on solutions? Is there a way to manage this drift?
Well, potentially. Apple's machine learning research team published something relevant today, Linneus. That stands for end-to-end learning of activation steering.
Activation steering, so intervening directly inside the neural network.
That's the idea. Linneus provides a way to make targeted adjustments to a model's behavior, things like factuality or maybe reducing toxicity right when it's generating a response at inference time. It does this by directly manipulating the model's internal activations.
So if a model starts showing that 54% belief drift, Linneus could potentially act like a real-time rudder, letting a developer correct its course on the fly without a full stop and retrain.
That seems to be the promise. It offers a potential countermeasure, a way to maybe nudge the model back towards desired behavior instantaneously. This is especially critical for on-device AI where you can't afford retraining cycles. It's about real-time control. Real-time control. That leads us perfectly into Segment B product and feature launches, because companies are launching tools trying to manage these powerful but sometimes unpredictable AIs.
And first up is a big one for cybersecurity. OpenAI unveiled an AI agent called Aardvark. It's powered by GPT-5, and its whole job is to think like a security researcher.
So it reads code, tests it, looks for bugs.
Exactly. It tries to find vulnerabilities proactively. And OpenAI's internal tests are, well, Pretty impressive. They claim Aardvark identified 92% of known or deliberately injected software vulnerabilities.
92%. If that holds up, it could massively accelerate finding security holes before code gets shipped. That's a huge deal for software security.
It absolutely could be. Now, shifting to reasoning capabilities, we saw news out of China. Alibaba's Qwen 3 Max model has a new mode called deep thinking.
Deep thinking mode. What's the goal there?
It's designed to improve how the model handles complex, multi-step problems. Better chain of thought reasoning, better problem decomposition. It likely uses more compute resources, but aims for higher accuracy on tough tasks. And how did it do? Any benchmarks?
They're reporting 100% accuracy on some very difficult mathematical reasoning benchmarks, specifically AME25 and HMMT. It sounds amazing.
Okay, 100% sounds like perfection. But there's a catch here, isn't there? I saw reports mentioning this was achieved with external tools like calculators or code execution.
That's a critical point, yes. It wasn't just the raw model. It was the model orchestrating external tools effectively. So are we testing the model's innate intelligence or its ability to use tools?
It definitely muddies the water on what model capability means. It's becoming more about the whole system, the orchestration.
Which leads directly to our next item, Databricks. They've expanded their Agent Bricks platform today. The focus is squarely on governance and orchestration.
Agent bricks, so tools to manage these AI agents in an enterprise setting.
Exactly. They launched things like an AI gateway for routing and control and enhanced ML flow features specifically for monitoring agent quality and observability. They're trying to provide the guardrails companies need.
Right, because as you said, that belief drift, the unpredictability, that's a major blocker for companies wanting to use agents in production, isn't it? Trust is the issue.
It's arguably the biggest adoption blocker. Companies have lots of agent pilots, but moving them into core business processes, that requires robust governance, monitoring, the ability to trust they won't go off the rails. Databricks is essentially selling the trust layer for AI agents.
But hang on, haven't they been talking about governance with ML flow for a while? Is this truly new, or is it more like repackaging existing tools for the agent hype?
It's probably a mix. The underlying tech might build on existing components, but the packaging and focus are new and necessary. Managing agents involves complexities like tool use, long-term memory, and coordinating multiple agents that needs a dedicated integrated stack. They're providing the infrastructure to hopefully take those 92% accurate security agents, for example, and deploy them safely.
Infrastructure. Okay, let's pivot to segment C. Because today was absolutely dominated by news about the underlying hardware, the chips and infrastructure arms race, and the numbers are just staggering.
Monumental is the word. The headline grabber, of course, was the AWS and OpenAI partnership, a 7-year deal, value $38 billion, just for cloud infrastructure.
38 billion, that's one of the biggest cloud deals ever, surely. And wait, OpenAI partnering significantly with AWS?
Yeah.
What does that signal about their relationship with Microsoft? I thought they were exclusive.
It signals that the compute demands for frontier AI models, like whatever comes after GPT-5, are now so immense that no single cloud provider can satisfy them. OpenAI needs more capacity than Microsoft alone can guarantee, apparently. They're securing access to hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA's next-gen GB200 and GB300 GPUs from AWS. This really marks the end of cloud exclusivity for the top AI labs. Diversification is now essential.
Wow. Okay, so the scale itself forces diversification. And this compute race is also deeply geopolitical, isn't it?
Absolutely. Two major moves today illustrate that. First, the U.S. Commerce Department gave the green light for Microsoft to export over 60,000 of NVIDIA's advanced GB300 chips to the United Arab Emirates.
60,000 top-tier AI chips to the UAE. That's a huge number. What's the context?
It's part of a $15.2 billion investment Microsoft is making there, tied to G42. This is the first really big AI chip export license granted under the current U.S. rules. It effectively pulls the UAE much closer into the U.S. tech orbit, using these critical chips as leverage. It basically triples the UAE's advanced NVIDIA hardware overnight.
So chips as a tool of diplomacy. Meanwhile, other nations are focused on building their own capacity, right? Like South Korea.
Exactly. South Korea announced a massive $10 billion national AI sovereignty plan today. The goal is to deploy over 260,000 NVIDIA GPUs across government and key private companies like Samsung and Hyundai.
260,000 GPUs. That's an enormous increase.
It's about a 5-fold jump in South Korea's AI compute capacity. The clear strategy is to become a top-tier global AI player with sovereign capabilities, meaning they aren't solely reliant on U.S. or other foreign cloud providers. It's about national resilience in AI.
So we have diversification, diplomacy, sovereignty. But the infrastructure challenge isn't just the chips themselves, is it? There was another big deal today related to cooling.
Yes, and this is crucial. Power management giant Eaton acquired Boyd Thermal for $9.5 billion. Boyd is a leader in advanced cooling, especially liquid cooling solutions.
$9.5 billion for a cooling company. Why so much?
Because when you pack tens of thousands of these incredibly powerful, incredibly hot GPUs like the GB300 into a data center, cooling becomes a fundamental bottleneck. You literally can't run the AI without managing the heat. Boyd is forecasting $1.5 billion in sales just from liquid cooling by 2026. It shows that power and thermal management are now just as critical and just as valuable as the silicon itself.
The whole stack matters. Okay, fascinating. Let's move to our final content segment, Segment D, Policy and Governance. How are regulators and institutions responding to all this rapid change?
Well, the biggest policy statement today, perhaps unsurprisingly given the source, came from U.S. President Trump. He indicated that NVIDIA's most advanced Blackwell chips should be reserved exclusively for American companies and select allies.
Reserved exclusively. He explicitly called the Blackwell chip 10 years ahead of every other chip. This sounds like a significant tightening of export controls, even beyond current restrictions.
It definitely signals that intent. If enacted, it would dramatically escalate the tech decoupling trend, severely limiting access to the absolute cutting edge of AI hardware for many nations. It frames AI compute as a strategic national asset, almost like a weapons system.
A major potential policy shift to watch. Okay, what else?
On the academic side, we saw a governance move from ArcGIF, the big preprint server where researchers share early work. They announced they'll no longer accept survey papers in computer science unless they've already been peer-reviewed elsewhere.
Survey papers. Why target those?
Because they were being flooded. Moderators reported getting hundreds of low-quality, clearly AI-generated survey papers every month. It was overwhelming the volunteer moderators and, frankly, polluting the research landscape. This is a direct response to maintain research integrity in the age of generative AI.
A necessary, if perhaps reactive, measure. What about data use policies? Anything new there?
Yes, something that might affect many listeners directly. LinkedIn updated its terms. They now state they will use member data from certain regions by default to train their generative AI models.
Defaulting to use member data, so posts, profiles, skills.
It seems so. The goal stated is service improvement. Now, they do provide an opt-out in user settings, which is important, but the default is in. This significantly expands the scale of AI training on real-world professional data, and it definitely raises questions about privacy norms on professional networks.
Something for everyone on LinkedIn to check in their settings, for sure. Okay, and finally, Europe.
Europe continues to build out its AI framework. The European Commission launched RAISE today, that's Resource for AI Science in Europe. It's a new infrastructure initiative.
More infrastructure. Is this competing with the national plans like South Korea's?
It's more about providing resources specifically to support research and development within the EU, fostering collaboration, and importantly, providing the compute needed for organizations to comply with and implement the EU's AI Act responsibly. It's about enabling safe AI development across the bloc and boosting technological sovereignty.
Got it. Okay, that covers the main segments. Before we wrap up, let's hit the final minute. Tools you can use, and the numbers of the day.
Right. Two quick resources. First, if you're training smaller AI models, check out the new Hugging Face 1 Billion Token Challenge report. Key takeaway. They found a 50-30-20 sweet spot for data mix. It suggests data quality is paramount. You can potentially get 90% plus performance using just 1/110th the data if you focus on quality over sheer volume.
Quality over quantity. That's a useful counterpoint to the massive data narrative. What's the second tool?
Second, PlexTech released a real-world radar dataset on Hugging Face.
Yeah.
Radar data is great for perception in bad weather, but it's usually hard to get. This free dataset could really help people building autonomous navigation or other perception systems for challenging real-world conditions, democratizing access.
Excellent. Okay, and the two numbers that really capture today's story.
I think they picked themselves, right?
First, $38 billion, the staggering size of that OpenAI AWS deal. It just perfectly illustrates the almost unbelievable scale of the compute infrastructure race that defined today.
And second, 54.7%.
Yeah.
That frightening percentage shift in GPT-5's beliefs after just 10 conversations.
Yeah.
It highlights the fundamental unresolved safety and stability challenge, the belief drift lurking within the very systems we're spending billions to scale up.
Scale versus stability. It truly is the story of the day. We're seeing this dangerous convergence, seemingly infinite compute power becoming available, while the agents running on it show this deep, unpredictable drift.
Which leads to the final thought for you, our listeners. As compute scales relentlessly, and these advanced AI agents change in ways we don't fully understand just through interaction, how do we ensure the governance systems we're designing, the Linus, the agent bricks, the policies can actually scale fast enough and effectively enough to manage the power we are unleashing today?
That is indeed the critical question. Something to think about. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.